Welcome back to the martinliedtke channel. Good to see you again today, guys. Got a cool post for you here. I'm going to present a really cool old atlas and many clues in this atlas that contradict the official history. So we're going to have a look at these. I was going to present them maybe a week ago, but I got literally blocked from Gallica and I found another way in. I thought if they made such an effort to block me, for no reason, not giving any reasons, then I thought it might be something to do with the juice that is in these atlases. So these are Pierre van der Haar atlases. They are from around early 1700s, but the release date is 1729. But this atlas of the cartography would have been around 1733, the year that Pierre van der Haar actually died. And it's a really cool bit of cartography, but we're going to find many clues in this, guys, and clues to mudflood like you've never seen before. I mean, the best, like, whoa. So yeah, we got the Northern Scottish Isles, and let's have a look at the image. So it's bringing in cargo, as you can see, on ships, and hunting lions. Are they lions? It looks like a lion. It's got big horns, maybe, and a mane. No, they're yours. Okay, maybe a lion. I'm not sure what that's doing there. So yeah, let's have a look at the Scottish Islands. Now, first thing I went looking for was Hadrian's Wall. So I've been up here. This is where I've seen the Northern Lights in a place called Banff. And a week or so ago, I was here in Dundee. But you can see, you know, this is not far off the times of what happened, the terrible events that happened in Scotland, the Jacobeans and the rest. You know, this is just after or around the same time. But you can see there's all of these amazing big cities. It's another world up there in Scotland. And here is the capital, Edinburgh. And the border here, you can see at Berwick-on-Tweed, which I went through on the train a week ago. I thought it was very, very beautiful. And there is the border, separate England and Scotland. So where is Hadrian's Wall? Let's have a look at the southern map. And something very interesting indeed presents itself. So on the English side, because Berwick is the border here, Berwick-on-Tweed. Okay, you got Holy Island. I was actually anchored right there off of Holy Island. It was a very beautiful experience. So there's Hadrian's Wall. Well, in the English side, there's supposed to be two walls, actually. So the narrative is this is a Roman wall, and this fall to ruin over 2,000 years to keep out the Picts or the Scots, or vice versa. But in 1733, it seems to be intact with towers. How so? Very interesting. Looks like the Great Wall of Tartary, doesn't it? Tartary and Tartan in Scotland. I'm just saying, the wall is very much there at that time. So Edinburgh, map of the city. Let's have a little look. So yeah, I thought and proposed, and I really do think that they say that this mountain or this King Arthur's seat, but this star fort that's on top is the castle. They say it's on a extinct volcano. Okay, well, I don't think it looks anything like a volcano. You can see the star fort goes right the way around the entire thing. It is an incredible star fort system, as you can see. Not sure what that is. But I don't think it's actually a volcano. It seems a bit weird to have volcanoes in Scotland, but it definitely looks tree-like. So maybe this thing is one of the old giant trees, and they just put this thing on top. So a lot of the city was intact, and as you can see, Princes Street and all the monuments, some of which, like this one here, look very Tartarian. And these massive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-story masonettes or tenement blocks. And look how they go back, how far they go back. And I don't even know if there's lanes between them, but it's never mind the walled city of Kowloon. Check this out. Some lanes between them, maybe, but I don't know. Just wow. So I'm guessing they called these slums. I've seen some of these tenements, massive ones in London back in the day. And I've also seen some the other day in Dundee, but they have them in Glasgow and Edinburgh. And they are massive 6-7 story, really old buildings, solid stone tenements. Yeah, what a strange setup for the city. Very compressed. Wow. Like I said, these maps are rather wow. Okay, Edinburgh. So yeah, what I found when I went through this atlas the first time a few years ago, I presented this 10 years ago maybe, was the evidence for mud flood. Let's just have a look at the extension. So a lot of allotments, so they're growing a lot of food, which would make sense. Okay. Oh, nice church. Beautiful gardens. Look at the geometry in these gardens. It's really crazy. They put, sacred geometry into gardens and allotments. Absolutely beautiful. And I'm guessing that would supply everything you need. It's all protected, it looks like, by a town wall, even battlements all the way around these beautiful designs. And then on the backs of these beautiful designs, huge tenement blocks, which are really like a prison. It's horrible. Oppressive. Is your nosebleed. They're not attractive buildings, but look at the size of this place. Just for the antique world, it's just insane. They're literally, high rises. So yeah, very impressive, that allotment setup, I must say. Okay, let's have a little look here at the skyline of Edinburgh from a bird's eye perspective. And we have, the building, the castle at the top, and the chapel, and the castle rock, and the Greyfriars Kirk. So that is where the ancient churchyard is, Greyfriars Churchyard, where the body snatchers, Burke and Hare, were meant to be stealing bodies and then taking them to the Royal Hospital, which probably this hospital, for them to do examinations. I find it very peculiar. This vivisection and everything wasn't practiced before the Victorian period. If it was, it's not really documented that well. The high kirk with the steeple. Funny how they call kirk churches kirks. The Tron kirk with the steeple. The Tron? Like the computer game Tron. So we have some strange individuals there. Don't really look people-like, and a cart covered over. And what they say is a volcano, the Castle Rock. They're not saying it's a volcano there, they're saying it's a rock. Everything outside, mud. Mud outside the town wall, which is probably what the town walls were doing in the first place. Okay, so excuse me, let me see what we got here. Still more of Edinburgh from Dean Street. Let's have a look here. So beautiful bird's eye perspective. I don't know how they're going up here, maybe in a balloon. I don't know. I was just visioning it in their mind. What you would get with a Pierre van der Haar atlas engravings is when you get a bird's eye perspective, every single one of them will show a chopped tree or a disturbed or damaged tree. I think that they're literally giving us clues, that the apocalypse was a short time before all this. Then they put these walls up to protect it from further mud, maybe, and put allotments down because everything is coming back and you need to get them crops growing again for the new peeps. Okay, let's have a look. Edinburgh from Dean Street up to the castle. A lot of mud hanging around. Let's have a look. Certainly a lot of mud outside and mud roads going up to this capital city. Okay. Strange dark figures in the foreground. And this one, oh, let's have a look at this. Wow, it looks more like a tree there. So what a big starfort system the Edinburgh Castle is. Just really impressive that it's that big, and it's in the UK. And these battlements and these walls going right around the city. There's not too many British cities with the old town walls. I know York has its wall all the way around. I've walked it. Yeah. So I was going to say super impressive, but no, not really. I'm just spoiled. So yeah, let's have a look at this Edinburgh Palace. Wow. Crowns on top. The royal family really loves Scotland. They got Balmoral, like Bal, and Moral. The Balmorals. I bet they're pretty immoral morals. This is a really telling picture, I think, of the castle. This bit here look like basalt columns, and definitely more in line with the capillaries inside of a tree. It's not really a castle, it's more of a stately home, isn't it? Them nets there, maybe to catch rock falls. You get them in the modern day. And the railway line goes right the way in the modern day past this bit. But yeah, volcano, I don't think so. And they're not saying anything about any volcanoes on there, are they? And let's move on. So we have Supreme something or other. Let's have a reduce that down and find out what this thing is for you guys. Excuse me. Anyway, let's have a look at this beautiful. Looks a little bit like an Italian building. A little bit minaretti on top. Some religious stuff over the doors. Okay, let's move on. Wow, quite impressive. And these massive buildings are usually, you know, just out in the middle of fields and stuff. What's with the twisty, exactly the same as what you get in Moscow? I showed on my post last night. Onion domes. These twisty onion domes, just like Russia. And these things as well. A lot of antiquitech. So I really don't think these are watchtowers. I think they were something else in the past. I think they had advanced technologies, unrecognizable from the modern day technologies. That's what I think. Okay, here's where you get some crazy good clues and evidence for mudflood. Right, let me just bring this up. This is Lithgow. Okay, if I could just take that off. They're having a little fish. Let's have a look at this town. Okay, it's been crafted on the riverbank for probably flood protection. And there's the town there. I'm guessing that place gets flooded in the winter. And where are they all going? Down into this lovely little town, which is Brigadoon. No, Haddington. Haddington. Okay. Right, let's have a look at this beautiful old church. This is a really telling one. This is Roslin Chapel outside of Edinburgh. You know, the one with the Holy Grail in it, the one that's supposed to be built by the Knights Templar, the one that's supposed to have tunnels going underneath. So the one that's supposed to be connected to the Merovingian line. There's so many books about this place. But, you know, if you read Dan Brown, I'm guessing you're going to be pretty much up on all of that. But you can see that it was a much larger chapel. It's crazy it's called a chapel. It looks more like an abbey. This part has all been knocked down. Vegetation all around it. Roof is intact, but there is definitely something missing here because of the extended wall, but it is buttressed. As you can see, the flying buttress is holding this higher elevation up. And there are statues. I bet they're not there in the modern day. And a lot of vegetation, so it's uncared for. What's outside Roslin Chapel is essentially no graves. because you don't get any graves, really. If they are, they're shifting them, as I will show you now. And outside is just mud going up to it, and mud and mud and mud outside. So Rosslyn Chapel, is in a very muddy environment. Right, let's reduce this down. And we have a beautiful palace there. Let's move on. Oh, excuse me, hang on. What I want to do is reduce it down because there was a few on one image, wasn't there? Excuse me. There. And this one here. Let's have a look at this one here. And this is Lothane. Again, looks a bit muddy. There's a hole in the world there, isn't there? I'm not sure. And everything looks decidedly muddy. They've got long fences, muddy paths going in, and everybody's just walking on these muddy paths. Very apocalyptic looking. Outside these places, but yeah. So yeah, note that church because there's a few more exactly the same as this with just look crazy mud flooded. So here of St Andrews, went past there the other day, St Andrews Castle, and this crazy island. Look at this. This is the island of Bass, or Bass Island, Little Bass. So it's full of sea bass. I don't know, but they get a lot of puffins, etc. Again, I think this is an old tree trunk. I don't think it's a rock prominent. I don't think anything of geology is correct. Look what's on it. People and wow. And a lot of birds because it's a colony. I really like puffins. They're like little penguins. This is St Andrews. I went past you. They're famous for the golf, the crazy golf. A lot of people like to do. Never get it myself. It's not really something I like. This is St Andrews Cathedral, and as you can see, it's an utter ruin. And the end of the world looks like it's happened prior to this, and it's completely wrecked. So something took the whole side away. Everything is in the mud, as you can see. And if we go over here, I'm not sure what this is, but there's a tower intact, and it looks like a later tower, like literally a tower block. The rest of the cathedral is gone. There's a few pillars. Inside the cathedral, if it was there at all by there, are these. And if you imagine after Armageddon, people coming along and checking out these church buildings, because these people are just standing around, pointing at stuff, pointing at these really large stones. If they're for giants, how big are they? You know, I don't know how they're this big if they're for people. So are they the tops of graves? If there's a mud flood, they would be buried. I really don't know what's going on unless this is post-Armageddon and they're burying what's left of the dead at that time. But that looks like it's scattered around to me. I know in some mud floods, like I sort of said yesterday on my last post, in Chile, there was an earthquake, liquefaction happened, and the graves went walking down the street. Dunfermline. So have a look at Dunfermline, has a castle. I do know about that. Beautiful little stone bridge. And just a muddy road in, because nobody's got any roads at this period, apparently, but they're building all this fine antiquity on horse and carty. So what is this? Is Falkland. And you can like mud flood windows there, a big forecourt, and a lot of pumping around, which is what they do in pomp and ceremony. Right, let's have a look here. Draby Abbey and the remains of Draby Abbey and hovels of Melrose. The hovels. Ooh, let's have a look at them. Start up here. Oh, shame. So Draper looks like Armageddon has happened. There are literally people just sitting around here. Everything's in the mud and the church is completely destroyed. So did that happen in the, you know, the events that happened in Scotland? Did they destroy them then? Or were these destroyed by Henry VIII in the disillusionment of the Abbeys, perhaps? I'm sure history will give you some, some story. I think they're good evidence at this period for Armageddon. That's what I think. Prior to this, wow. So there are still some glass windows in it. The tower is shot. The rest is shot. Outside, what have we got? Mud and some graves. We got some graves haphazardly laying around. See, they're pointing at everything like they just arrived. They're literally like tourists. Like the tourists you see coming into San Francisco after it's been completely obliterated, which I find weird. Okay, so he's got a shovel. Can we presume that he's burying people in Melrose Abbey? There's like a half-buried cross there. So they are definitely graves, but yeah, they're like swimming around in mud. That is really a messy graveyard. And they're pointing. So that looks like a mud-flooded graveyard to me. It looks like these things are just swimming around. But wow. Wow. Let me know what you think in comments. Add what you think's going on, especially concerning the graves. Are they being buried after Armageddon? Or are these things there already? Kelso Castle. Wow. That's not mud flooded much. Look at this ginormous thing. It's still intact. The top's missing because it's so imposing. There's a big crack there. And the building's missing. Outside, is it cobble? No, is it hell? Again, group of people pointing. Again, it's that same thing. And everything outside is just mud flooded. Mud, 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 mud. Wow. And that is Kelso. And let's have a look at this image here. Did we have a look at that one? Okay. And that is Kelso from outside, bird's eye image. Right, let's move on. So, yeah, weird what's going on with the graves. Yeah, they could be burying people at that time. Guy did have a shovel. And what we got here is the Abbey of... I can't even pronounce that because it's in French. Crossregal? I don't know. So is that a dovecot? I don't know. What has happened here? It's all smashed. Everything is smashed. Big buildings. Strange outside. Dark. Broken tree. And the trees that come back are pretty small, aren't they? That's why there's no big old trees because Armageddon took them out. You know, like max 250, 300-year-old, and they're stealing old trees. There's something going on with the old trees, I think. Some sort of psyop. Apparently, they said that heat wave that happened in Britain like 2 weeks ago killed like this tree that's like 1,000-year-old. And it's like, so it's putting it out there. Oh, the weather's hotter than it's ever been before. We're all going to die. So, yeah, this is the Isle of Air, which is really beautiful. All right, let's move on. So I hope you've enjoyed this video today. This is a little extra. I will be back on the weekend for Flaturday. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. So Dunblane, unfortunate events happened there, but a sole survivor ended up, Andy Murray, or a survivor, ended up a Wimbledon person. Even though he was crap, they still, you know, gave him a Wimbledon job. Well done. So, yeah, this is Dunblane Abbey. And would you argue that the front bit is buried in mud? Anyone argue with that? The cathedral, you know, the Abbey in these cathedrals are smashed, guys. They are literally wrecked. Outside, no graves in this one, but them same groups of these people and giant bits of masonry outside, all left to rack and ruin. No dialogue of what is to what's happened. But look at the mud. Just let that image soak in for Dunblane Cathedral. It looks like the thing has been drowned in mud and the whole thing's shattered and the roof's gone. Brilliant evidence for Armageddon, I think. So let's have a look at this one. Okay. Oh my God. Culross is unbelievable. They've even got these vaults that look like bunkers here, and here. All the way along here and up here. The rest of the buildings are smashed and broken. And everything is covered in, what would you say was mud? Because it looks like mud to me. What else is there? Wow. It's quite mind-blowing. Let's have a look at this Culross. Never heard of it, actually, but these guys got guns. They're shooting at ducks. Oh, no. Wow. Look at this thing here with the onion domes. Is that still there? It looks like a Tower of London. It literally looks like a Norman stronghold. That can't be that far north. So what is that? And what is it doing there? These things here, don't know. So yeah, if you do spot anything in this video that I miss while I'm presenting it, feel free to comment and let me know if you've spotted anything. What's anything worth looking at there? Let's have a little look. Oh yeah, hay baling. Love a bit of hay baling. Done some of that myself. Got on the back of the tractor drinking cider with a twig of hay in my mouth. Woah. Feeling on top of the world with a lovely suntan. Yeah, that's the life. So what we got here, Ross. Channel of Ross. Okay, let's move on. And Dun Britain. Oh, yeah, we all are. We're done with it. That looks like a tree trunk again. There's buildings on top. And doing a spot of fishing. So they've always done a bit of hunting and fishing, haven't they, up in Scotland? They like to shoot grouse and stuff. It's all just really horrible. Yeah, look at these twigs and stuff, and it's all just ruined from the bird's eye perspective. Some of these places look like they're getting on their feet. No doubt about that. Stirling Castle. Look at this. Wow. So it's another star fort system, isn't it? And look what they got outside. And we know Scotland, with the Scottish Rite Freemasons, there's going to be a thing with pyramids. And I've seen a pyramid in Dundee. And there's a pyramid on the side of Stirling Castle. Stirling. All these mud or rocks coming all the way up the wall there. So the wall's behind there. Did this come in before or after? You know, it's just, if that makes any sense. When you look at these images, the only thing I see is buildings post-reset. That's what I see. Groups of people putting it all back together again before repopulation. That's what I see. So yeah, Hamilton. Let's have a look here. Glasgow. Wow. So Glasgow is a massive city now, 1 million people. There's a few graves in there. But again, look how big they are to the people. Why are they so big? Them same stones, they're like giant stones compared to the people. So that little chapel's still intact in Glasgow. So let's have a look at these buildings. Very Phoenician looking. So yeah, Glasgow's up and running. No, not bad at all. And what we got here is a nice cathedral. Oh, look at beautiful Glasgow. Looks more like something you'd see in Germany than Scotland on the skyline. Look at the size of that place. So yeah, maybe the mudfloods didn't happen absolutely everywhere. Maybe some areas were less fortunate than others, depending on how high up you are. Boswell Castle. Have a look at Boswell Castle. Afraid I've not heard of that. Oh yeah, the Battle of Boswell. Yeah, that's it. Oh, Boothwell, excuse me. Yeah, that looks a bit messed up as well. Looks like it's got a couple of pyramids inside. There's one there, and one there, and one there, and one there. Am I wrong? There's a few little trees outside. Again, it looks like it might be on some sort of prominent, like a tree trunk. Wow. So yeah, these are pretty mind-blowing, these Lee Vander Houses. I literally have 100 or so of catalogues of these just to, I'll work my way through them and present them to you at some stage. So love to go to, I used to put my hands up in school and say to my teacher, Mr. Lewis, "Sir, isn't the northern tip of the Isle of Lewis called the Butt of Lewis?" And he's like, "Yes, Martin, it's called the Butt of Lewis." Very funny. It's like, yeah, I know. I was a funny child. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful Scotland. Don't know what the Hadrian's Wall's still doing intact. All of the cathedrals look like they are mud flooded in 1733. I think this post is a good clue to Armageddon in the recent past. So this is Brechin, very, very idyllic and beautiful looking, as Scotland is. And Dundee, where I was, I think last weekend, or was it the weekend before? I can't even remember anymore. I loved the place. There it is on the River Tay. This is the roof of a big building over there. And it was full of tenements and story of, I followed the story. I did some research. A friend looking into this place and the reclaiming lands from the River Tay. And then somebody came along and tried to, knock down all of the antique buildings. So it was a really interesting story. And Montrose. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've heard of them from the Scottish football results. 4-4, Montrose 2. Okay. This looks interesting. Let's have a little look here. Excuse me. Load. And this is Aberothic. Wow, Aberothic. Well, Aber, you get in Welsh, means mouth of. So, like mouth of the river. Wow. Okay. So the cathedral is completely obliterated. It looks like the ones some in Wales you get. And again, with these ungraveyard looking graves, they're massive. They're massive compared to people. They're playing dice or something on top of this one, on stilts or something. And all these piles of mud outside. Oh my God, look at them just sitting there wondering what the hell. So what are these? They're not for people. They're massive. Very mysterious. And all of the mud outside. Wow. Whew. Imagine the size of these places in the past. Absolutely amazing. And we got Aber. There's the mouth of that river, hence the Aber. Very beautiful. Okay, we're moving on. So yeah, wow. Whew. Yeah, it's quite mind-blowing, these atlases. I've had a fair bit of trouble in the past presenting these atlases because, like I've explained, apart from they're some of the best engravings you can ever get, they are also showing the real history. There's lots in here, like Hadrian's Wall, still with towers, and there's lots that just contradict the official narrative. Right, so this is done Aberdeen, and they got some beautiful monuments there, as you can see. Look at this thing. And again, looking like Russia. And these look like German buildings. Really strange. But again, it's a lot of mud going on, guys, coming up to these places. They don't, how did they get all the materials up there anyway, all the way up there and from these quarries and stuff when everything's just thick, gloopy freaking mud? I just don't get it. Okay, we got Blockhouse. That sounds really German. But this is a Dutch or Flemish, excuse me, Belgian, Flemish, from the city of Leeds, where the famous university is. My name is Liedtke. Very close. Although that means little song in German, which makes perfect sense. Because I do like, as you know, a little song, but that is because I'm Welsh. And everybody sings, yeah. Because it's the land of song. Indeed it is. Wow. More telling clues. This is really good. Elgin, where the Elgin marbles are. Look at this. So the entire cathedral's destroyed, more or less. Everything outside is mud. Anyone going to argue with me in comments saying that? I don't think that's mud outside, Matt. What else? What is it then? These graves are really trippy. Is anyone digging graves? Same people pointing stuff out, see? Like this crew. You have people just doing nothing much at all, ambling about. He looks like he's digging something. And then you got these stones that are laying down. Could it be that the mud flood hit him over? This one's still erect. But there's not many, is there? 1, 2, 3, 4 in the whole cathedral. So that's weird in itself. Difficult to know what to make of it. You see all the vegetation and everything from lack of maintenance, because there wouldn't have been anyone there to give it maintenance, because like I said, the world's just getting on its feet. So yeah, the Elgin marbles are in Elgin. Apparently they took them off the Acropolis in Greece. They want them back. I don't know why they feel the need to have them in Scotland. So that was Inverness. Let's have a look. Any Loch Ness monsters? Loch Ness. Okay, and this is Dunkell or Dunkell. All vegetation. Again, looks like there's no roof here, and outside, no graves, but it definitely looks like there's mud again. So they don't have little picket fences or paths or anything. It's just mud and ruins outside. I think it's great evidence for mud flood. Scone. The stone of Scone comes from Scone. That is under the throne in Westminster Cathedral, that all kings have to be sat upon this stone of Scone that come from there. It's probably a magnetic lodestone is my suspicion. Okay. Island, the Emerald Isle. Place is very, very beautiful. I love it very much. It looks very amazing from the sea. When you sail past, these big green things sticking out of the water. The water's beautiful and green. Wexford's beautiful. Drogheda, Arklow, Wicklow. I've been to all these places. Beautiful places. There's Drogheda. I'm pronouncing it right. Up to Northern Ireland and Antrim. And County Fermanagh. So what pictures are they? Hunting and killing animals again. Wow. Because there's a lot of wildlife in Ireland. So yeah, Ireland was very, very, populated, wasn't it, really? Look at all of them place names. As soon as you leave Dublin, it's like countryside forever. And this little beauty here, see this over here? That's Little Wales. It's Beaumaris Castle. Men of Harlech and Tenby. You get to Tenby, 1B, 2B, 3B, 4B like that. And this Bay of Tenby there. St David's Cathedral, the smallest city in Wales. So yeah, beautiful cartography, I must say. Considering some other maps of the same period make no sense whatsoever. These are superbly done. And we got Ulster here. And I love a little trip to Ulster. I've been to Belfast a couple of times. Newry, a place called Warren Point. I've been all over, really. Lochnew. So it's quite populated, isn't it? I love these names, locks they got. It's quite Icelandic, isn't it, with all of these little inlets? There's a lot of water. I seen in Belfast my first ever lion seal. Yeah, I was having a cigarette over the bows, and he just stuck it over the stern, and he just stuck his head up, and just had beautiful long eyelashes, and he was just like, "Hello." I was like, "Hello, you're beautiful." Donegal. Okay, there's not much happening on Donegal Island, this little island. Well, I don't know what these circular things are. Very interesting. Don't know what they are, though. And some sort of purgatory. Weird. Okay, let's move on. So yeah, like I said, guys, I'll be back in for the weekends. Make sure to subscribe, like this channel, support it in any way, and check the comments of the description out for events up and coming and all what's going on. I will keep you updated on my channel community page on mostly a daily basis. There's Dublin. I've got a friend in Dublin. Not much there in the past, though. Look at it. That's the capital of Ireland. It's really the inns. I bet that's still there. The Cum. Oh dear. The Bridewell. Okay. So yeah, I hope there's islands in this Wales in this atlas, but it isn't. Okay, so let's have a look what we got here. Connacht, County Connacht. So I'm guessing a lot of viewers have got relations. My son's half Irish because his mother was Irish. So I've got a definite connection to the Irish and love the place very much. And, you know, they're a bit like the Welsh and they're a bit nutty, I guess. Galway. Very nice indeed, in a stoned enclosure. I don't mean stoned enclosure, although I've never been there. Let's have a look. A walled enclosure. And again, with all of these little inlets, you couldn't even make this stuff up. If a photographer, you just go, It's like, you could win an award like that. Guy in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Splatty Fabast, he won an award for his photography when he designed Norway. Thought that was good. Limerick, Stab City, that's where my partner was from. And it is a giant Star Fort enclosure, as you can see. Very Star Forty. It's hard to believe, isn't it? The whole city's a Star Fort built on water of Limerick. Wow. Who knew, guys? Who knew? At first, I was looking into Star Forts. I didn't think that there were that many in Britain and Ireland. And then I find out, wow, there certainly are. Look at this. Sure. Got a pyramid and a church in an enclosure. A Star Fort with a church inside. Wow. It's a mound. Again, with the geometric allotments. Very, very nice that is. And a wall all the way around. Probably protect it from the mud and water. But wow, that's absolutely amazing. Who knew, though? Same design for Star Forts the world over. And there we have Ireland. So I've caught the ferry from Belfast to Rosslare once, and it doesn't look far across from year to year. But you could see Ireland from Scotland easily. So yeah, I will share this atlas down below in the descriptions box. Now it's complete for you to go through at your own leisure. Hope you've enjoyed this video today. I think there's been some really good mind-blowing clues in this today. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. See you on the next one. Much love to you all.